Whether you just bought a violin and want to know how to care for it during the hot summer months, or you've been playing for a few years and just need a little reminder, either way, I have 4 tips for you today to help keep your violin in great shape when temperatures start to rise. So if you'd like to learn how to take the best possible care of your instrument this summer, keep watching. Hi, I'm Lauren, a professional violinist and fiddle player currently living in Nashville, Tennessee, and I help thousands of people achieve their violin and fiddle goals. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. We'd love to have you here. Now, let's talk about some ways that we can keep your violin in great shape this summer despite the heat. And before we jump into these tips, if you're here and you're new to the violin and you're unsure of why we even need to take special care of it during the summer, here's why. The violin is very particular in general, especially when it comes to extreme temperatures. When your violin is in an environment that is too cold, the wood contracts, and when it is in an environment that is too warm or humid, the wood expands. And when all of this expanding and contracting is happening, problems can occur such as the violin can split at the seams, or they can become open, or cracks or other problems with your bridge, fingerboard, strings, etc. If you've ever noticed that when the seasons change, your strings tend to go out of tune more often, this is exactly why. It's likely that the wood is either expanding or contracting depending on the season and the temperature, and as a result, your pegs will either loosen or tighten, causing the strings to change pitch. So bringing it back to the summertime specifically, the violin does not like to be exposed to heat and humidity. So that's why we want to do our best to keep it in a controlled environment, keep it indoors as much as possible along with your bow, just so that we can make sure that you are not causing any damage, none of the varnish or glue keeping the seams together is melting, things aren't expanding and contracting as I've said, and you're minimizing any potential damage to the instrument that would require expensive repairs. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get into these tips. Tip number 1, keep your violin in its case when it's not being used. Even if your violin is being kept in a room indoors, the outdoor temperatures tend to have an effect on indoor temperatures. And if you tend to keep your AC on more so in the summertime, that's also going to impact your violin. The air inside might also be more humid during the summer depending on where you live, and that's why it's best to keep it in a temperature-controlled environment, in its case where it'll be safe from any environmental fluctuations. Some violin cases even have a built-in hygrometer which measures the humidity, ensuring that you have the perfect balance for your instrument. Tip number 2, if you're traveling with your violin, even short distances around town, perhaps you're going to a jam session or to or from a lesson, if you're making a stop along the way, take your violin inside with you. This is good to do just generally for safety reasons, but you really never want to leave your violin in a hot car. Even if you're just going to be stopping into the grocery store for a few minutes, take your violin with you, and that way you're not risking any potential damage that could be caused to the instrument by sitting in that hot environment with no airflow. Tip number 3, avoid playing outside when possible. Now, I know this one is going to be a little more difficult for some of you because there are more outdoor gatherings during the summertime, jam sessions, barbecues, things of that nature. But if you can avoid playing your violin outdoors, especially for long periods of time, your violin will thank you for it. Like I said earlier, when your violin is exposed to heat and humidity, the wood is going to expand and swell, and not only that, your bow is going to suffer as well. The bow hair will have a harder time maintaining its tension. You might notice changes in your rosin and your ability to have a good grip on the string, and the wood of your bow, if you have a wooden bow, will also be impacted. And lastly, tip number 4, always keep your violin clean from rosin. Now, this is just a general maintenance tip and something that you should be doing regularly anyway, but it's especially important to pay attention to this during the summer months. When you play often, your violin and strings can develop a solid coat of rosin where you have that white dust on the wood of your violin and that builds up on your strings. You want to make sure, especially during the summer, that you're wiping away that dust. What can happen is that layer of dust, if left sitting on top of the surface of the violin, it can actually start to melt and eat away at the wood. And I will tell you that piece of wood underneath the strings, directly in between the bridge and fingerboard, is very, very difficult to replace. It's not something that you'd be able to just clean off. And so it's best to just make sure that you are continually wiping away the rosin from both your strings and your violin to make sure that you never see that white dust building up, so that you can really make sure that you're keeping your violin in the best shape. And you want to make sure that you're doing this after each practice session or after each time you play. And a quick bonus tip, always make sure to loosen your bow hair when you're not playing. This ensures that your bow is able to maintain its natural shape, specifically the stick of the bow is able to be neutral, and you're not keeping that constant tension on there, which could potentially cause it to warp. And that's it. Those were my 4 tips plus a bonus tip for making sure that you're taking the best possible care of your violin during these hot summer months. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up below. And if you're not already subscribed to the Tune Project, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button below as well, along with the notification bell so that you never miss when I post a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy practicing!